Chapter 2 of our Legends of the Five Rings campaign. This is a Blades and Blasters campaign. This is our first attempt at Legends of the Five Ring 4th edition system. Title of the campaign is Beyond Love and Grief. For Chapter 1, we had Ghost playing Onizuka and Tet playing Shimizu. And tonight we have our other two players. We have Aki, who is playing Tsuruchi Hisoka. And we have the only one and only Matihi, who is playing Kitsuki Hibiki. Because the system has not been ran before, give us a little leeway as far as lore and that sort of thing. So we may stumble and fumble over our rules and macros, but we will get through it. Here we go. Everybody's site set up okay?
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Large type. It is early spring, and up here there are still small patches of snow. There it sits, white and glistening, as the old fat sun rises in the east, and passing overhead, radiates life-giving energy. The snow melts into water. The water runs, laughing and bubbling, down the mountainside. It joins rivulets and then streams and then tiny rivers and finally ends up in Lake Segura. The lake is stretched out below. It reflects the pale purple mountains like a mirror. Hibiki is here too, practicing calligraphy. She has a writing kit of beautifully carved wood and a set of inks. One is dark, the other is vermilion. Overhead, the birds are singing. It is brisk, and there is a slight breeze, and clouds like wisps of fur float overhead. This is a peaceful place. The air is clear, and there is a stream that bubbles with silver eddies and pebbles. It is a place of thought, and it is a place of remembrance. While Hibiki practices, an old woman walks up the path past the shrine and stops. She kneels near the grave of her son. But the birds go on singing, and the snow goes on melting. Soon, Hibiki will need to go down the mountainside to meet her parents for tea. But for now, she is alone with her thoughts.
Hibiki sits beneath one of the cherry blossom trees that are here. Not quite sure if it's really the time of year for them to blossom at this point, but she knows a cherry blossom tree from when she sees it. She's strayed away from them for the past 6 months, but has decided to take the time to come down here to enjoy the peace, to listen to the waters as they run. And she idly has a smile on her face as she practices her calligraphy. There are thoughts of her time previous 6 months ago, back when for her life and her world was filled with color. Everything was a lot happier. She was more content, for he was still alive. Man, she used to sneak out of her home for, go down to a certain cherry blossom tree to see Yuki Yoshio. Fortunately, their love was forbidden, so she had to stealth away in the night, as did he. But it had been 6 months since his passing. 6 months since she's prevented herself from being able to mourn. She still wears her hair long, has not cut it for grief, or there'd be questions if she did. She's finally gained enough courage in herself to come down here and attempt to enjoy the day. There's some greenery that reflects back to her, a little bit of color that's peeking through that she can finally see. But for her, things are still dark. She does yearn for the day it brightens again, but until then, she keeps going along with the ceremonies, the rituals she must do. Their studies in alchemy, in both the magics and the science of creating the potions and poultices that she does. She spent many years attempting to perfect them, but perfection was still so far away. And she knows that experimentation could lead to ruin, so she's been careful in her research and preparation. It's always been part of her routine. So with that, she sticks to her routines, sticks to what she does, today being the first time that she's strayed outside of the usual, and has decided to try and enjoy the day. And that she knows she must meet with family for the tea ceremony. She rises, brushes off the bottom of her red kimono she has on, and looks around, seeing if the woman's still there, or if she is still alone.
And the woman is still there. She is knelt beside a gravestone that looks fairly fresh. There is a name chiseled on the front of it. The name doesn't matter, but what matters is this woman's face is lined with grief as her tears stream down her face onto the ground, the soggy ground, and she kneels down, putting her fists into the snow and begins to weep. Oh, oh, my boy, my youngest son. And she appeals to the heavens and the skies overhead, but the birds and the clouds and the firmament are impersonal, and there is no answer to the woman's pleas. And she looks over to Hibiki. Oh, I am sorry, my dear lady. Look not this way. Allow a mother her grief. Spare me this torment. She kind of covers her face with her kimono, wiping the tears away, and kind of angles herself to face the grave and away from Hibiki.
Hibiki, doing the woman the honor of what she asks, she just nods her head and she silently leaves the site, heading down towards her family. There's a bit of, doesn't show on her face, but there's definitely an envy that Hibiki has for the woman who's able to so openly mourn, as most of her sadness has been pent up. So she allows the woman to be by her lonesome, to be able to express what she needs to on her own, in her own time.
Your things. As you notice that the sun is traveling overhead and you are to meet your mother and father for tea down in the town, you gather your drawing kit and your inks and wrap them under your arm and start to head off on your way. But there's a ghost of the thought of days past and your lost love, and I'm going to invoke that disadvantage at this point. And until you spend a void point, you will have a -5 penalty to your rolls, or your TNs. Your TNs actually increase by 5 for your checks.
Oof, yeah.
And as you...
Go ahead.
Yep, yeah, once you give me a calligraphy check to see what your work looks like, with that penalty, the TN would be 20.
Oh boy. Okay.
And you can roll it off of your sheet, or if you want to test out the macros, you just do a calligraphy intelligence roll. Just using the skills button, skills macro.
And then TN 20, right?
Mm-hmm. Your work.
Sorry, I didn't. What'd you say?
Oh, what do you think of your work, of your calligraphy you did up in the mountain?
She looks down to her kind of calligraphy, and she's actually she hasn't really noticed until she actually takes a look at it, but it goes from writing different histories or just different words over and over, just for practice. Actually writing Yuki's name quite a few times, and she's seen kind of the degeneration in just the quality as she writes it. And she kind of looks down. A droplet spills onto the page. She puts a hand up to her face, kind of feels the wetness underneath her eye. And seeing that, she will kind of quickly, as she walks away from the woman, she will dash the parchment apart, just ripping it up, and she won't scatter to the wind, but ripping it into tiny pieces and putting it away. Actually, she's walking away from the woman as long as she's out of sight of anyone else. Actually going to use summon and then with a fire kami to actually burn the pages. And I'm not spending a void point to augment it, but basically at the same time spend the void point to eliminate kind of that -5. And she's burning away this parchment.
Yeah, I'm not going to make you roll or anything there. So yeah, the parchment just gets incinerated and the embers kind of float into the air. And there's a close-up as one of them kind of comes down on fire and alights into the stream and floats on down the stream. And you head down the mountain to meet with your mother and father. And next, the scene will change. It's past noon. Hisoka gathers his cloak tied around his neck. He is just a few hours west of Ikcho, and he and his family are on the last leg of their journey. Besides Saruchi Hisoka is his wife, Mio. Behind him are the playful voices of his daughters, Saruchi Kasaga and Naho. They seem to be playing a rhyming game. Upon mountains old and cold, we walk and walk and walk and walk and walk and walk. That's not how it works, Naho, Kasuga says to her younger sister. It's supposed to rhyme. Naho pouts. My feet feel like swollen lanterns and my legs are spent. Mother, are we nearly there yet? Mio does not answer. Instead, she looks to her husband. The girls have been brave. It is a long way here. You should be proud of them. They have shown great fortitude until now. She looks ahead again. Her mouth tightens, then turns into a smile.
Hisoka turns and smiles at the girl. Do not worry. We'll be there soon. It's not much farther now. Kind of leans down and kind of a hand on each of their shoulders. And he kind of looks to Mio with a smile, kind of noticing her internal disdain in a small sense, as he kind of steps around behind the girls and takes each of them up onto his shoulders. Oh, we can do it just for a while, all right? Then we must hurry up.
He looks to Ahsoka. You still have a long way to go, Ahsoka. Are you sure you're that strong?
Of course, it'll be fine. I'll put them down when I begin to tire, and they can make the rest of the way.
2 hours up the mountain. We'll be going downhill soon, so I suppose that should help.
Indeed. Do not worry. And he'll kind of hoist them up and start walking along, very carefully, taking his time. They're not expecting us quite so soon, so it should be all right.
Can you remind me again, Father, where we were heading here in the first place?
Well, Father has an obligation. A duty I must fulfill, of course.
Asian.
Mm-hmm. We'll see cousins here. Well, for you uncles and aunts of sort. It should be quite good.
Are they our age? Oh, I would love to play with someone my age. It's been years, and you know that just a few short weeks ago they were with her friends from wherever they're from.
Mm-hmm. Way down in Quiet Stream, which is a very long ways away. Yeah, he's don't worry. We'll be there soon, and I'm sure there will be other children. Kind of marches along and looks to Mio. And what do you think of? I think
The journey has been
nice,
long
right?
enough.
What was that? Sorry?
Your wife says, I think this journey has been long enough. It's time we slept in a comfortable bed, Ahsoka.
Indeed. That would be nice. I hope they greet us with hospitality, of course. I doubt they wouldn't. Guests, after all. And he kind of motions to part of his pack, in which there is a what is basically a quiver, but it's wrapped and sealed. I think they will enjoy the gift we've brought. Few outside of the Saruchi are able to get a hold of Quiet Stream arrows.
Your wife raises her left eyebrow. Win them over with gifts, Ahsoka. Wise. Just don't wag your tongue too much. There are secrets that are best left unsaid.
That is true, of course. But I think we both know that you are better with your words than I am. Besides, my parents made sure I took proper classes on etiquette. I won't embarrass us too greatly, I hope.
Well, time will tell, my dear husband. Time will tell.
Indeed. Here they have some beautiful forests down near the towns. Perhaps we can take a stroll sometime together.
And as you crest the low hills, they're rocky hills. This is early spring, and up this high, there are still, like in the prior scene, like little bits of snow here and there between the crevices of the rocks. And as you climb up the path, there is a mountain stream that bubbles down from the rocky crags above. Here and there, you hear the screaming of an eagle, and the sky overhead is blue with wisps of white cloud. Eventually, though, Saruchi, you get a tickling in the back of your mind, as if you are being watched, and you see far, far ahead the faint outline of what looks to be a wolf up on one of the crags.
Hmm. Yeah, Hisoka looks up and watches the wolf as it moves, or watches it in itself as he smiles deeply. Well, it seems we won't be alone here.
perhaps only you understand, the wolf kind of circles and seems to sniff the air and kind of bids you towards it to come along up the path.
And Hisoka kind of kneels down, not quite touching the ground, as he lets the girls off his shoulder. All right. Remember what I told you. When we are around animals, both of you stay close. And he reaches a hand down to either of the girls. You too, Mio.
The girls come down with a giggle, and they try to like grasp onto your sleeves and no, don't let us go. We not want to walk all this way.
Oh, don't worry. We'll be greeting friends soon, and look, it's downhill. It'll be a bit softer on your feet. Your legs won't be as tired. If anything, you'll go quicker.
And as you do that, you lead them down, and Mio uses this as an opportunity. Come now, Kasuga, Naho. Here, have something to eat. It is a beautiful day. Let's enjoy the sunshine and this clean air. Soon we will be among the company of strangers and thrust into the throngs of Ikcho.
This is a good idea. Perhaps you keep here, watch the girls for a moment, and I will go make sure the path is clear.
And you run up, and as you do that, the wolf kind of runs several paces and then looks back with welcoming eyes on up the path.
Hisoka smiles, and although his legs have grown tired from the journey, seeing the wildlife of an area of the world he's never really seen before lifts his spirits quite greatly as he begins to full sprint, almost run alongside the wolf, following after, leaving his girls to happily have a small picnic of sorts before they finish the final leg of their journey.
Follow the wolf higher and higher into the mountains, and there are these beautiful forests kind of down in the dell, and you follow the wolf until kind of it's only you and the wolf, and you come to an area in the mountains that crosses the stream. This is probably where the stream comes up from, and the wolf kind of turns to you as if to speak, and you hear a voice in your mind. Why have you come here?
Hisoka looks almost surprised, but smiles. My duty calls. I must watch over this place, I suppose, in a sense. I must listen to the dragon. Serve as is the way.
And as you do that, suddenly the wolf, before your very eyes, it kind of runs forward a few paces and turns to you, and it seems to fade out of existence. And instead, at the end of the bridge, you faintly see, like a wraith almost, the black outline of something extremely sinister. And the wolf kind of disappears from existence, and you hear a hideous laughter, Saruchi. And that is suddenly followed by screams as you hear your two daughters scream out. And at that point, we're going to cut back to Hibiki. Kitsuki Hibiki, with her calligraphy kit underneath her right arm, descends into town. As she gets closer and closer to the base of the mountain, she sees Lake Segura gets larger and larger, sees the pale purple mountains reflected in the lake. Eventually, she walks into town and bows to a few acquaintances, and then eventually makes her way into the tea house. As she enters the tea house, the attendant slides open the door and bows to you. Katsuki Hibiki, your father and mother are here. Please let us know if we could be of service. And the attendant nods his bald head and gives a very deep bow, and then leaves you with your parents.
Kitsuki, of course, she slips off her outdoor footwear to change into the indoor footwear that's there, leaving hers by the door. Enters, and of course, in front of her father and mother, she gets down, of course, to her knees and sits there, bowing to them both. Father, mother, it is good to see you both.
It's good to see you as well, Hibiki. Although you're several minutes late yet again.
I deeply apologize for being late. I was enraptured by the wonderful day, but that is no excuse. And she puts her head down.
Your father, Tadashima, Katsuki Tadashima, looks at you and sees the hem of your cloak has maybe a little bit of snow on it or dirt, and says, "So, where have you been, Hibiki? Always your head in the clouds, your feet not firmly planted here on earth. Time does not stand still, my beautiful daughter, and our family is not growing larger."
I understand, Father. I was practicing my calligraphy out in the day. I should be more careful with my garments. I apologize.
See there, Tadashima, says Honomi. Hibiki is talented, and our daughter has many skills. Come, let's see. Let us see this calligraphy you have worked so hard on.
She pulls out the remainder, the earlier work of what she had, not the names that were written over and over again. So it's not quite a lot of work that she produces, but she does put them out in front of her mother. I apologize for not having more. I found it too imperfect.
I will serve you well through your years as both a young lady and a bearer of children, my daughter, Hibiki. And your youthful beauty will wither with years, as mine have, Tadashima says to her. You are just as beautiful as the day we met, Honomi. And she smiles bashfully and looks down at the calligraphy. This is not that bad. Perhaps in another few years we'll make a proper artist out of you, fair daughter.
Yes, I do need more practice. It is not perfection as of yet.
Now, yes.
Yes, of course.
One of the attendants goes in and begins to serve your family. Tadashima looks at you and says, I suppose you are wondering why we asked you here for tea? Please pardon us, but there are some friends who would like to meet you. They are, of course, male, and both of them rather handsome. At least one of them is from an upstanding family. And Hanomi looks at Tadashima. Mitsuka Zen? His family is reputable too. And Tadashima looks at the mother and says, the young man may be handsome and dashing, but his father is the town drunk. Hibiki, do not be taken in by the words of Mitsuka Zen. I have just the man for you, Inogami Nishikuru. He is of the Inogami family. Very, very upstanding.
Hibiki gives a very tight and polite smile to both her mother and father. I, of course, trust both the suitors that you have picked out. I would be happy to meet both of them.
They shall arrive soon.
Sorry, can you repeat that, Bo? You kind of cut out there.
Take refreshment. They shall arrive soon.
And Hibiki nods, and she'll start taking kind of the tea. And I want to try. I don't know if I can try divination with the tea as I'm drinking it.
I'll let you do that as almost kind of like a parlor trick as they arrive, as we do the tea ceremony, if that'd be okay.
Yeah.
As you're showing your talents, and that's a good thing to make small talk and be charming.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so they prepare the tea, and Hibiki, it's, only going to be proper for you to serve the suitors and your parents as they arrive. And the first to arrive is, of course, what was in their home screen, is Mitsuka Zen. And student report. Yep, he arrives and comes to the door silently, with as much respect as he can. Mitsuka Zen is a tall man, very thin. He has his hair in the top knot traditionally worn, but there are locks here and there, and parts of his kimono are wrinkled, and his obi is a little bit to the side. Kitsuki Tadashima. Mitsuka Zen. He introduces himself with a very deep bow and waits to come in until he is invited in by Hibiki.
And Hibiki looks to him, gives him a bow, standing. Mitsuka-san, welcome. Please join us.
And Zen bows and comes in and says, I appreciate the opportunity to meet you, Kitsuki Hibiki. I must say, the rumors of your beauty are not exaggerated.
Hibiki smiles to Mitsuka. Again, just a very polite, trained smile. I unfortunately have not heard much of you, but I would love to hear more.
Indeed, the exploits of my father seem to precede me in situations, whether wanted or unwanted. Mitsuka Fen is a man of drink, but he is not a man that is without wisdom either. And, your father just kind of snorts and then takes a drink of his tea. And Honomi says to Hibiki, the Mitsuka family is well known for their bravery and their wit in battle.
Kisuki looks a bit more interested at that in regards Mitsuka. I understand the...
Oh, I forgot. You have to be drawn in, don't you? Okay.
Yeah, I understand the... sometimes the exploits of a father, especially a one with a history of drunkenness, can be a bit shaming, but there are many who she kind of eyes her father a little bit as she says this. Many who have taken to the drink, but do prove themselves quite useful.
Word is that my father was not always of the sort. But the years have gone on him, and he has aching joints. He says the drink helps him sleep, and helps him win very many games of Go against his friend Onizuka. And Mitsuka Zen mentions that, and he's not polished, and that is the thing that Hanomi and Tadashima just do not like, because Onizuka, which is Go's character, is much disliked because of some past actions. So they just enough of this talk of battle. Enough of this talk of failed family members and degeneracy. Hibiki, please. And they ask you to perform the tea ceremony.
Alright, which I have no skill in.
Average difficulty is 15.
Oh god, okay.
And you can roll it off the sheet, or the tea ceremony if you want to use the macro is it I forget what trait it uses.
Void, I think?
Void, yep.
Oh, I was trying to avoid this.
Just a roll of 1 or something.
She's not good at this.
Tell me what it looks like as you spill some tea over Mitsuka Zen.
Kitsuki is... She, of course, serves her father, and then her mother, and then Mitsuka. But she gets a bit too focused, and actually starts asking him about his weaponry as she's speaking. So, what type of combat do you train in, Mitsuka?
And Zen kind of actually finds it quite charming that Hibiki may be nervous and spills the tea, and he deftly wipes it up with a napkin and says, "No, do not worry about that."
Oh, I apologize, Mitsuka-san. I got a bit over my head.
Hanomi and Tadashima just look at her with daggers in their eyes, and Mitsuka Zen replies, "By the katana, of course. There is no other way but the way of the sword. One man must fashion his soul in the image of the sword. A one-pointed will, rigidity, yet fluidity when it is needed, and gentleness as well, Hibiki."
And she smiles to that and sits down. So, have you won any, or participated in any duels then?
Let us talk for another time, not talk for a parlor, Hibiki.
I apologize.
Ashima looks at Mitsuka Zen. "Mitsuka Zen, we appreciate you coming by. We appreciate your kind words about our beautiful daughter. In fact, we have to agree. I do apologize for the stain upon your kimono. I will have one of my men come by and have it laundered." Mitsuka rises as it's time for him to go. "Do not give it another thought, Kitsuka Tadashima. The stain upon this kimono is well worth the price, for my eyes have feasted on the beauty of your daughter this day." And he gives a bow to Katsuki Hibiki. "Until next time, Hibiki, perhaps we can talk about the way of the katana."
I look forward to it, Mitsuka-san.
And Zen walks away respectfully, and the next suitor comes by, and seeing his competition leaves, he kind of just snorts. And he walks in. "Inogame Nishi Kuru, at your service." And he gives a deep bow. And at that point, we are going to flip scenes real quick.
Uh-oh. I knew the moment that I chose to have my family come along, I was like, oh.
Oh no.
We find Saruchi Hisoka alone on the bridge as the shadowy wraith seems to have been blown away with wind, just like the figment of the wolf, and he hears his daughters and Mio scream, Hisoka! Hisoka!
Yeah,
The girls!
he instantly begins running down the path, not sure what's happening, concern growing deeper and deeper on his face as his Yumi is pulled from his back and very swiftly strung. An arrow in hand, his bow in hand, he rushes down the cliffside towards them.
And there's a scene as the camera pans down the mountain, and there's this figure in a green cloak with a top knot, and he is stringing his bow as he dashes. And down at the bottom of the mountain is Kasuka and Nao, and they're prostrate on the ground. And before them, raised, is what looks to be a venomous snake. Mio kind of has the girls' shoulders and is slowly kind of dragging them back. Both of their legs are trailing a very tiny ribbon of ruby red blood as you close on the scene. And tell me what you feel and what you're thinking.
Yeah, Hisoka sees the viper. He doesn't feel quite anger or hate for it. It's done as it is its nature. But nonetheless, he sees the threat. He sees his girls. There's blood. He's not sure the source of it, but he rushes down, bow at the ready. Is the viper closing on them at all, or is it keeping position?
It's just reared up in that it's not a cobra, but you know how cobras kind of rear up like that. As you get closer, you can just hear a rattle, and it's...
Yeah, and Hisoka, he can't see the source of the blood, I assume, but nonetheless, he knows the threat can't be left alone around the girls at the very least, regardless of how well he could handle it. As he aims to shoot at the viper, but specifically aims short. He's going to try and shoot just before it to kind of spook it off, essentially to almost knock it away.
Nice. Give me a shot.
Alrighty.
You should have a Yumi.
I do.
Okay, so on that, you always give yourself, because of your advantage or school technique, you will always give yourself one bonus rolled dice. Everything else is cooked into that.
Oh, so the because I was gonna say, because on my sheet it has the one bonus factored in. Is that
Okay. You'll just always give yourself one bonus on the macro. Yeah.
Macro. Okay, cool. Trained. Emphasis with Yumi. Keep modifier none. Damage roll modifier none. There we go. TN 15 result 29. Yeah, so he shoots the arrow. It flies quite straight, spot on to the point just before the viper. As the arrow strikes the ground, it tumbles, shatters, knocking back at the viper as he closes the distance and gets in front of the girls.
The viper hisses, and it slithers away into the rocks. As you close with the girls, you can see that both of their legs are bitten. Mio is crying. Hisoka, I'm sorry. I just took my eye off them one moment to dip my face into the stream, and...
He reaches forward and puts a hand on Mio's shoulder. No. It is all right. It is not your fault. I should have been there. It's my fault. As he reaches down to both the girls and checks the legs over, presuming that it is venomous from the look of it. He knows animals of nature fairly well. So yeah, he doesn't necessarily have the stuff required, but should I make a roll of some sort to see if he knows how to treat it?
I can say that you you know that it's a venomous snake. As you close on Kasuga and Naho, sweat is already beating upon their brows, and they look pale. You've run across these vipers before. They are not common, but not uncommon either. And you know their bites are extremely deadly. Without an anti-venom or skilled medical treatment or a great deal of luck, they only have 2 hours to live.
What would you say the distance is to town?
It's about 2 hours.
Yeah, Hisoka quickly picks up Kasuga. Well then, this is our job. This is where our training comes in. Mio, take Naho. We must go. Swiftly now.
Yes.
We do not have long. We must hurry.
And Mio scoops up Naho, and Naho kind of groans. Mommy!
Do not
No!
worry, girls.
Are you... I can't see, Mommy!
Hisoka's face is extremely bitter. A blend of emotions just writhing on his face as he looks to me. Let's go. As he begins with Kasuga in his arms, full sprint downhill towards the town.
Mio picks up Naho, and Kasuga's... As you pick her up, you've slung kids over your back before. You can feel that her skin is just wet with sweat already, and her little arms that try to grasp around your shoulders just feel weak, and her fingers are just cold to the touch. And give me a little bit of RP as you dash down the mountain path towards Ikcho.
Yeah, Hisoka charges down the path, bounding, leaping almost over certain stones and parts of the path that wind down lower as he almost slides down a few slopes even. Mio, being a Matsu berserker before she married, is likewise quite able-bodied. As they both continue marching down at breakneck speeds, nearly tumbling at several points, in Hisoka's case at least. But nonetheless, he carries Kasuga in his arms and gives her a very bitter smile. Do not worry, do not worry, do not worry. It'll be all right. We will get you a healer soon. Do not worry. And as he charges down, he fights back, the tears beginning to well, but does not do quite so well doing so, as they begin to stream down his face, as he speaks more so to himself at that point than Kasuga.
The first 15 minutes, it's a full-on sprint. The girls both have strong cries. About half hour in, the girls' cries are more of a weak whimper, if you ever heard a child or a baby do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then nearly an hour into the journey at breakneck speed, Tsurugi, Hisoka, and Mio, the wife, your lungs are on fire. You're at a high altitude. You're exerting yourself, running down these mountains with, 40 pounds of extra weight over your back. First of all, let's go over a little bit how venom works and how awful it is. Let me pull it up here. There you go. Should see that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, is that these little girls, unfortunately, every hour they're going to have to make stamina roll. And unfortunately also the TN is going to be 25.
Ooh,
Okay.
Oh my god.
that's a very high TN, yeah.
It's a high TN for somebody who only has a stamina of 2. They also have void points to spend. So let's see how they do the first hour. And then I'm going to let you make an athletics roll to see if you can try to shave the time off. just a little bit
Mhm.
on the way down here. Okay.
Mhm.
Let's do it. All right.
Alrighty.
So Naho, the youngest little girl, although she looks older than the other one, doesn't she?
Yeah. Meh.
They're 2 years apart, apparently, right? 1
She's
7.
got more of a like not quite done yet baby face. It's like still cooking.
Google search for Japanese little girl. Don't do it.
It's fair. Yeah, you're on a list now.
So I
Just
had to use
FYI.
I had to use like real pictures and try to modify them a little bit. So here we go. So they can spend a void point though, right?
For sure.
So Naho is going to
sense in this
spend
case.
her void point. I'm going to give you access to her character sheet, okay? Just so you
Okay.
can roll it. I would just roll it off of the sheet, of the stamina. And when it TN's 25, you got to hope for some exploding dice. Void points. Let's see what I think it gives you a bonus of 1k1.
Nice.
So you're gonna have a bonus of 1k1. So why don't you just manually roll? It'd be 3 keep 3.
3K3? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know how to do that with the explosions
D10s,
and stuff? Yeah, D10s and then exclamation.
2 exclamation.
Yeah.
Okay. Here is the first one. 16, yeah.
Not good. So the problem is their stamina drops by 1.
Ooh.
And that's not good. Once it gets to 0, they die.
Oh no.
All right. You want to do it for Kasuga?
Mm-hmm. Alright, same roll.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Kasuga.
Come on, Kasuga.
Hopefully something better. It's taking a
1.
minute.
No explosions.
I see.
Mine
Yeah.
still hasn't even loaded it yet. Yeah.
No. So both of them. Yep. So an hour in, they go silent and their breathing is shallow.
Wait, that's
So-
a 27.
Oh yeah, there it goes.
Oh.
Yeah, it didn't actually go for
Didn't
quite a
pop up.
while. I don't know why.
Nope. That first one exploded.
Yeah.
So Kasuga is looking a little stronger. Her stamina is still 2 after the first hour. She's fighting off this place. Kasuga's always been a fighter.
She's been out in the wild with her father more often.
Yeah.
She's actually received some minor training from her parents. Makes sense.
And now give me athletics. It's a pretty hard check. It's 20.
Definitely gonna spend a void point on this.
Okay, so I would roll that off of your off the macro because that will easily let you add the 1 keep 1.
Oh, okay, cool. Athletics goes off of strength, sadly. Not great. He's not super strong. He's got reflexes out the wazoo, but not super strong. There we go. There it is. Skills. But he has training in it at least.
Come on, Kasuga.
Roll modifier 1. Trained, yes. Keep modifier 1. TN what?
20.
20.
All right.
Come on, Papa mode. 18. Shit. Just short. I don't think there's anything I can do with Void or anything of the sort. To boost it, yeah, because I can't. Because Center is only for combat.
After the fact, fortunately.
Sorry, hello.
Yeah, not after the fact. I don't think there's much you can do.
Yep. Oh.
So, you eventually, at almost an hour, or almost 2 hours, you burst into town. Okay.
I don't
And-
see.
Yep. I'm gonna move your Coke in here. There we go.
Thank you.
So, Hibiki, you were over in this tea house is there on the corner, right? And so it's like it's probably like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The sun is kind of over the mountains, and the four of you come down the mountain path, tearing into town with these two little girls over your backs that are not even holding on anymore. Their limbs are floppy, and what does it look like as you and Mio run in, yelling and screaming, and
Yeah.
Hibiki and her suitor and the parents and everybody from the tea house empties out to the street.
Yeah, Hisoka shouts out, "Healer! Healer! Anyone!" Charging in, as he enters town, it's very clear that he's not of Dragon Clan, although he wears green. His mon is obviously of the Mantis. And beneath it, though, however, it is very clearly the Suruchi. Similar with Mio's. As they rush in, Kasuga is held tight, her head up by his neck as he charges in, panting. His face is utterly red. It looks almost like he has been through a marathon, and he practically has. And he is drenched in sweat, as are the two little girls who seem to have gone limp by this point, as Mio presumably shouts similar, calling for healer, shugenja, anything.
Hibiki, as they've emptied into the street, shouting for a healer, comes about. She looks to both her mother and father and Inogami, giving them all a quick bow. It will be but a moment. And she picks up the front of her kimono and hurries over to Suruchi. What is wrong?
Viper bites. Both legs. We need a healer. Shugenja, anything.
I can help. And she looks around to find a place to put the children down.
Hisoka doesn't waste any time. He kind of lays Kasuga down pretty much right there on the spot, just about, as Mio follows suit.
Would it be fair to say I have at least one of these Jerome's bombs as a potion?
I doubt it. In your little area, your study probably.
Yeah. So she curses for not preparing, but
how would you know? I mean, you're going to the tea ceremony. You're going to a tea ceremony. You wouldn't have known, but you're probably still blaming yourself because of culture. But you're not super far from your place.
Oh, I can always cast it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, she leans down to one of the girls, the one who's not breathing, Naho, and she's gonna cast Jerome's bomb on her. So let's see.
What's this one?
Sorry?
What did you want to cast? I'm sorry.
Jerome's bomb. So how do you cast spells?
Pretty much just like every other skill for the most part.
Okay.
Although
Probably cast it from your sheet. It should be cooked into that.
that's a water spell, I assume, right?
No, it's earth.
Oh.
Yeah, you got the earth going on. Let me look.
I think I have a free raise, if I'm not mistaken.
Commune, summon.
Yeah.
I gotta double check, but I think I do have free raises on earth spells. I gotta double check.
Johan's bomb. Yep.
Give me 1 moment.
+2 Kipo to the second roll.
So they still have to roll, but
Let's look up and see what the TN of that would be for Venom. Because this is it.
It doesn't actually. Have they made their second roll?
Nope, they're at 2 hours. as
It
you roll
doesn't
in.
actually give a bonus for after that. This spell fills the target's body with purity and vigor of earth, driving out poisons and impurities. If the target suffers the effects of any poison or toxin within the duration of the spell, or is already under the effects of a poison within the spell, when the target
He may
spell target
reroll any failed stamina.
No,
any failed. Oh, so it does allow a reroll
gets-
a failed. Yeah.
yeah, but I think it gets rid of it too.
Yeah, it
It
should
does
cleanse.
not actually. It
Yeah,
just
it
allows
should.
a reroll. However, if the second roll is also failed, the poison has full effect. Side effect also cures drunkenness.
Yep.
Yeah,
Does
so it
not cure
only
it.
gives a +2 Kipo to a failed roll. So it does allow a reroll of any failed to resist the poison with a bonus of +2 Kipo. But if the second roll also fails, presumably the one from this, it keeps working and would kill them.
So I'm wondering then, wouldn't it be better to try a heal check first and then use magic?
Depends on how long the heal check would take.
Depends on you. But as the tea house empties, Tadashima and Hanomi and Nishikuru are over the balcony, and they watch you kind of go down into the grass with stern eyes, and everybody from the tea house is watching you, Hibiki.
Yep, emphasis. I assume you don't have an emphasis on antidotes.
No. So, just to make sure, if you have an affinity for something, do you get a free raise? Am I correct in that?
Oh, you might. Can't remember. I don't think so, though.
This is our first session. I'm okay with a little bit of book diving. Because this is when we learn this stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Affinity. Here we go. Rank school thing. Shugenja. Oh, that's a rank 0 samurai. You're not rank 0.
No, I'm rank 1.
You have affinity earth.
Oh, if for magic it does.
Affinities. Yeah, this is magic.
Oh, yeah. For spells, I believe it does allow extra raises. Is that an advantage, or...?
You get one
Oh,
free
okay.
raise.
Yeah. Which means... So that means I don't have to spend anything.
Nice.
Right?
Skill raises.
Because basically, if I... It is a different effect depending on the spell. So if I raise, basically it... Oh, I need 2 raises to increase the targets. But it increases the duration of it. But,
yeah, and that's
really
just
matter.
for... yeah, all you have to do is cast the spell. You don't have to worry about duration, so you can...
You also have 1 void point left you can use.
Mm-hmm.
But you have 2 little girls.
Well, I can use
Yep,
my free
so-
raise for 1 and then the void point for another raise, right?
Well, the raise will still increase the difficulty of the casting, but let me
True.
pull up the casting for spells. Actions, casting time. I think the TN is based on the level. Complete spell. Sorry for the wait. Casting specifically. Just normal team. 5 plus the spell's mastery level times 5. So in this case, it's level 1, so it's 10 TN, so it'd be 15 with the 1 raise and a free raise to target both of them. So you just have to hit a 15,
Okay.
and it'll target both.
I think I can do that.
Otherwise, you'd have to cast it once on each, and it would only be target 10.
We'll cast it once on each. That's gonna be the safer option, to be honest.
It's fair. It's like 1 action to cast.
Yeah.
Basically 1 turn. You're talking like however many seconds.
You want to try to cast the magic on them?
Yeah, we'll start with...
It'll at least give them another roll.
Yeah, we'll start with Naho. Yeah, this is the only way, really, unless I do healing stuff, and I don't know how long that's going to take to heal this. And even then... It's I don't think it's going to fully do anything.
By now, it presumably wouldn't.
Yeah, because it prevents any further penalties, is the only thing, but they'd still be poisoned, basically.
Yeah, but it keeps them from getting worse. Then, and after 24 hours, the poison will wear off.
So, subbing healing would be better.
To staunch it, it sounds like it would be.
Yeah.
Let me read the text of that magic again. Let me read the text of that spell. Everyone is poisoned. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It doesn't drive it out, does it?
Yeah, not really.
No, but your medicine, I would let the medicine check would do it.
Okay.
I think your best bet's going to
Let's
try
do
to be to get
medicine.
them do both with the balm, and then if they still fail their checks, you just have to pick one to try to help.
So bomb,
Yeah,
then
if you
medicine?
cast the spell, it would presumably give them a reroll on that second one, which could potentially give you another hour to treat them, basically.
Yeah, okay.
As far as I
try
understand
that.
it.
We'll try that. Alright.
So that hits both.
18. That's I only I did the one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just doing the one. So I started on Naho first. So you
She'll
see,
get if she fails it, she'll get to redo it with a +2.
yeah, so she gets to re-roll with a +2.
Okay. And then do Kasuga.
Yeah. So basically, what Hibiki does, oh my god, as she kind of casts these spells, she kind of picks up some earth from beside both the girls, and she kind of starts rolling it between her hands and focusing on each of them. She kind of wets it with a bit of her spit and puts it a line over each of their foreheads and down their cheeks, and basically is trying to drive out these poisons. And she gently puts a finger on each of their foreheads afterwards, trying to kind of push the poisons out. You can see, I guess, the kind of magic emanating from Hibiki as she does this. So then they get to roll.
Alright, well, do they still have one void point left, I assume? Well, we didn't actually do the second roll.
You'll have time this round to do a medicine on one of them too.
Oh, okay. So I'll do a medicine on
On one, and now the other one.
I'll do it on
The other
Naho
one,
because she
though.
looks fine. Well, better. No, she looks worse. Let's do it on Naho.
Yeah,
Oh, you know,
Naho will die if she fails her check.
Yeah.
Kasuga has a little more time left.
Oh.
And Mio looks over. Help my daughters, please. Please. Shugenja. Shugenja.
Ikcho.
Your medicine is, what, 15?
Medicine. Yeah, it's 15. To
Let's
heal.
see. Let's see if it says anything for venoms, though. Hang on.
I think it said 15 in the venom part.
Oh, with the little handout or whatever.
I'm gonna use a void. No. What would a void point add?
Yes, heal TN. A void point lets you add a 1 keep 1 to your check. You have 1 void point left.
I'll do it for the children.
This is for Katsuka. So it's medicine? in medicine intelligence, and you're going to add a 1 keep and 1 roll and 1 keep bonus to it.
Okay.
And your TN is 15, and you're able to add up void points for the session. And this is the little girl that's hurt the most, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
for
there's
now.
nothing on the roll modifier, right?
Yes, roll will be 1,
Okay.
and the keep will be 1.
Third time's a charm.
Don't fuck it up.
Kill my daughter.
I just was healing. I did not kill her. Yes.
Good.
So tell me what that looks like as Katsuka color returns to her, and you are.
And she takes out some herbs, but she also kind of knows where to press on the body to try and expel the toxins. Basically, just trying to move them both with magics and such to kind of the exit wound. And you see on Naho kind of where she was bitten. You see that venom start to kind of expel as Hibiki rubs her hand down the child's leg just to try and get it out, or at least as much as she can. And then she puts the herbs over the wound, just trying to kind of layer almost like a bandage. And as the color kind of returns to Naho's face, she looks down to the child and again kind of places her hand like a thumb on her forehead and looks up to Yusoka. She'll be fine.
He seems to only barely be paying attention as he looks to his second daughter. Of course, trying to just do whatever he can to help. Just make sure they're okay. Please.
Of course. And I guess we'll see how well Kasuga does on her reroll.
So if you want to use her last void point, that would be 3 keep 3. Again. And then if she fails, you'll get to re-roll it immediately.
Might as well. They refresh every day, by the way, in case you didn't know.
Are you rolling it, or want me to?
Yeah. Hello?
Do you want me to roll it, or do you want to do it?
Can you hear Saki?
Yeah, can you hear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What, did you go? Hello?
You're supposed to be rolling.
You're supposed to roll.
Oh, I'm supposed to roll.
Yes!
Yeah.
I thought you were rolling medicine for the second daughter. Oh, okay.
No. Yeah, she has to roll her
no.
save first, because I didn't have a chance.
She has to roll her save.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Oh, terrible.
3 keep 3.
Yeah, terrible roll.
And then reroll.
That's a bad roll. Yep, you can roll. So now it would be
Oh,
a
then reroll. Okay.
5 keep 3.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. Alright, yeah. 5, 10, keep 3. Yay.
Yeah.
So you have more time. She's still. You have had another hour, okay? You fight, and we're going to move you guys, if that's all right, into your place. Does that sound good to you,
Makes sense.
Hibiki?
Sure.
How would you explain this to your family and Inugami?
Shugenja duties, literally.
Yeah, she...
Jedi business.
Yeah, she goes back up to her parents and she bows, a bit of an apology. I apologize, Father, Mother, and Inugami-san, but I cannot avert my eyes when I see one injured as such, especially children. They must be quickly tended to, as to not have their life expire, as they have so much to live for. I apologize if I have offended.
Nishikuru looks to you and says, "Do you know these people? Itsuki Hibiki. You show such care, such tenderness in your heart."
I do not know these people. All I know is that they needed help, and I was the one who was here to help them.
It's not my place to chastise you. And if I could offer any advice to your wise father and loving mother, it is they should be proud to have a daughter like yourself. I, Inugami Nishi Kuru of the Inugami family of Xiaozen, give you my blessing.
Katsuki bows to Inogami. Thank you. And she kind of looks over to father and mother.
And here we go. You know how legendary and unlikely those stamina rolls are?
Very.
Yeah. Fucking 2K2 is not pleasant.
No. Okay, so you have another hour. And you get another medical check. If that fails, then we do another round of stamina. She still has 2 though. She has not lost a single roll.
She's good.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Asuga, the
she got
fighter.
reroll.
Mm-hmm. So we go into Hibiki's abode, and you guys can roleplay what this looks like as Mio carries the daughter. One daughter, you carry the other.
Yeah, Hisoka heads in, and fairly unceremoniously, once he's inside, he has his traveling cloak, right, which is the kind of traditional mantis colors of green and sea green, pretty much. As he kind of tosses it aside towards a rack or whatever have you is nearby, underneath his mantle is, of course, as mentioned before, mantis with very clear underclothes of wasp, and he sets his bow aside quite swiftly, almost. But I mean, it is still, even in this situation, with the great reverence, that he sets the bow aside, and the rest of his gear goes to the floor as he carries Kasuga over to a suitable spot for you to treat her. His face is beginning to calm as he sees Naho's breathing steady and her start to look a little bit less pale as Mio watches over her, and he heads over to help you with Kasuga. He takes to his knees and please tell me if there's anything I can do.
You can kind of see around the abode that you're inside Hibiki's home. You see along the walls, of course, they have countless scrolls with just different calligraphies, different fonts, that sort of thing. Like, it's very well practiced. Everything looks very clean, very organized in this place. Besides the decorations, almost she carefully places everything, making sure nothing is an inch out of place. Very much a perfectionist in the way she puts things away, so having things strewn around her home, though she's fairly focused on Kasuga, she winces as she looks to things haphazardly thrown to the side. And as she's working on Kasuga and she's taking out some more of her herbs and some of the other wraps that she has for healing, she looks up to Suruchi. I have it handled from here, but if it eases you to speak while I work, give me your name.
Yeah, Hisoka actually kind of turns, still on his knees down low by Kasuga, properly to face her. as he actually leans pretty much all the way down, forehead almost touching the ground in Dogaza, as he very vehemently, thank you so much for helping my daughters. My name is Tsuruchi Hisoka. He looks up to her. Is he able to tell her house by her mon, or presumably
Up to
that
you
she's
guys.
dragon at the very least?
Yeah.
But he kind of looks around, spotting the Kitsuki family mon, and Kitsuki-sama. What, might I ask, is your name?
Kitsuki Hibiki.
We are ever in your debt, Hibiki. Thank you again. As he kind of sits back up proper. As I said, I am Tsuruchi Hisoka. This is my daughter, Tsuruchi Kasuga. He motions over to the bed where Naho is now laid. Tsuruchi Naho, and this is Tsuruchi Mio. He motions to his wife. My wife.
It would be better circumstances if we met under other pretenses, but one cannot turn a blind eye to someone in need, especially when it comes to children. You can see she's, again, squeezing some of the venom out of Kasuga's wound. And she seems to be applying very similar herbs to her leg. And she kind of takes a damp cloth, putting it over Kasuga's forehead.
Yeah.
She keeps on the balm and everything, but after about an hour, she does wipe it off their cheeks. And, looks down, seeing the color returning. It seems as if the worst has passed.
Hisoka, still drenched in sweat, most of it is now beginning to dry and cling to his skin. His clothing, though, nonetheless, is damp still from the running, as is his wife's. Thank you. Again, thank you. I apologize. It is my great shame to show such a side to you, Hibiki-sama, and the dragon.
If I may ask, what are you doing in the mountains?
We were on our way here. I am, of course, from the south, and you can kind of, probably being, you've been up with the dragon your whole life, I presume, and Tsuruchi very much has a different look about him, different kind of stature, different way he carries himself, and his hair is, despite being up in top knot, it is loose after the actual binding, more akin to a ponytail, and is much longer than probably a good number of men around here. Although the dragon are eccentric, he is definitely not from around here, and definitely doesn't carry himself like a typical Great Clan samurai. He has the kind of scent of sea and stuff and mountain and travel on him, kind of typical to the mantis. I was sent to fulfill duty, to serve the dragon for a time, to in the name of the mantis.
She nods as she's taking care of the children. Is there anyone in particular you serve, or just the clan dragon in totality?
And Bo, I guess I'd ask you that. Yeah. Was he given a specific name of who he was to serve under while he was with the dragon?
Yeah. Indeed, it's her dad.
Oh. Yeah, he looks at her. What was his first name? Or yeah, again.
His name is Kitsuki Tadashima.
Tada, what? Sorry.
Tadashima.
Tadashima. Kitsuki Tadashima-sama. Of course.
Kitsuki looks up at Tsuruchi. The older gentleman who was outdoors with me in the tea house. You might not have seen him in your haste. That is him. That is my father.
Yeah, and Hisoka just about goes pale at that. He was already looking like he was pretty much exhausted enough to pass out then there on the spot. But now he looks distraught as he again kind of bows a bit low. Again, I am so sorry. The situation that has brought us to this. I have shown a terrible side to yourself and your father.
And what exactly? What happened on the road? I can see it was a bite from a snake. The venom.
Hisoka looks to Miho. Yes, there was a viper, but there was something else. We didn't have time to discuss, of course. The girls were bitten, and I drove the snake off and we ran. But he kind of connects his eyes with Miho's and then to Hibiki. There was someone there. I saw a wolf on the ridge, and it seemed to. And as he's kind of mentioning that, as a shugenja, you get a feel for spirits that pretty much no one else has, generally speaking. But you could probably tell at Bo's discretion that Hisoka pretty much has this air about him that is very connected with the spirits. He is indeed very bound to spirits of Chikushido, the realm of beasts and nature and animals. And he does have inner gift as well, animal ken, as well as touch of the spirit realm. So he is just oozing with almost spiritual power in a sense, but he's clearly not a shugenja. It's probably a similar air as you would expect from either a shugenja or someone severely blessed by the spirits.
You can tell that Hisoka's aura is furry.
Oh no.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, I think you would be able to sense this about him.
Hibiki, she gets up from children. She makes her way to one of her cabinets. She takes out a very special kind of teacup that she has. Kind of sprinkles some tea leaves into it, and she will actually boil some tea there. She looks to Saruchi. If you would indulge me for a moment.
Yeah, Hisoka looks almost confused, but then kind of the fact that she is indeed a shugenja kind of registers again. Of course, Hibiki-san.
If you've seen something, I can tell that you're very in touch with spirit. Maybe this will shine a bit of a light on what happened or what is to come. She kind of finishes boiling the tea. She pours it into the teacup and brings it over to Saruchi, sitting back down and handing it to him.
Thank you. Any aid you can offer is greatly appreciated, my lady.
Please drink this, and once you're done, please hand me back the cup.
Yeah, Saruchi looks deep into the tea. The image of the shadowy figure, the wraith-like apparition, deep in his mind, ever present as he sips away at the tea, quite steadily until there is nothing left, and he very calmly, carefully places it out towards Hibiki.
And she takes it, and now I'm gonna try divination.
Sure.
Let me just look here. At the skill list. Let's see, once per day. TN is 15, depending on the circumstances, it might be higher. Let's see. So results of divination are vague. It should be given some instinct indistinct inkling of what's to come in the immediate future. But I do also have that lesser prophecy. I don't know if that's going to make it a little bit clearer.
That's one of the advantages, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I used to have a character I tried to build at one point that had that, and it's like really fucking cool.
Yeah,
Roll
boy.
it.
Alright, let me just find
Read them tea leaves.
I'm doing it.
You
I
got
can't
this.
pour tea, but I can read tea leaves. Let's see, and that's intelligence. Ugh.
Always in motion, the future is.
She kind of looks at the tea leaves and she sighs and she takes the cup and she washes it out and she looks back to Suruchi. Fortunately, things are in too much chaos here. This is what has happened. It is difficult to read. I think it says much to what has happened with you. You are in much chaos.
I could imagine.
What the?
No, just in your mind, like the only thing you get is just vague premonitions of a shadowy figure, but nothing else. Like any attempt to read the future is just pushed down by this omnipresent, omnipotent, just oppressive blackness and shadow.
Yeah.
Looming figure.
You see, she actually stops. It's like she does stop in the middle of talking, and she looks across the room, and kind of that image is playing out. And she holds the cup very carefully as she just stares off.
Hisoka kind of looks to her. With the pause, he resumes speaking carefully. There was something odd. The wolf seemed to call out to me, as if a spirit. I could hear it. There's only one time I've ever met wolves that were like that, when I was a child. Hibiki-sama, if you would. I have a great deal of respect for you and your house and your father. I would ask a favor of you. In my shame, if you would kindly keep what I tell you a secret.
She seems to look away from staring near the door, and she looks back to Suruchi. Of course.
Of course, I do not expect you to lie, but if you would be so kind as to not openly divulge this, it would be a great service to me. When I was a child, I went missing for several weeks. When I returned, the shugenja believed that I was spirited away, in a sense. They believed that perhaps I mistakenly entered Shikushido, lost amongst the forests and the wilderness with the animals. They believe I am blessed by the realm, and thus I was able to return. This is the only time I've ever heard something like that could communicate with me in such a way as that wolf did. But there was something else. I don't know. Perhaps a spirit. Maybe he racks his brain. Perhaps a ninja or an enemy shugenja. I do not know. But there was a figure there in the wood atop the mountains, crops of trees and a river. It was horrible. This looming darkness. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Usually, spirits reach out when things are to come, whether it is good or bad. Something might be wishing you ill. This is of much concern to you and your family. Yes, and she kind of starts pacing a little bit, puts the cup away, and continues pacing. Maybe, and she looks to Tsuruchi. In the daylight, if you would take me back there. If there's anything left to read, maybe it'll be there. Maybe.
Hisoka nods deeply. Of course. It would be quite kind of you, given you're already such a great help to me and my family.
If it is something that is following you, it might have latched on to come here. I do hope not. Could be something that is in the area, and this is just a first sign.
Hisoka looks a bit concerned as he kind of racks his brain and kind of tries to think of the things it said, recalling it. The wolf, it asked why I came here, but it stepped away, faded off, as if into thin air, as if blown away by the wind. Only when I mentioned that I was here to serve the dragon did the apparition appear. I do not know if this is why, but I would not lie. It could be after me, but I would not erase any suspicion on any of its motives if it were after the dragon.
This could be a first sign of things to come. Yes, in case it is something against the clan, take me back there so I may see if I can find whatever it is and commune with it. Or since you are so in touch, maybe you can.
I hope. My blessings. He kind of pauses again with a little bit of a hesitation. Animals will not harm me. That is not a concern. Sadly, blessings only pertain to myself, as was with the serpent. But the spirit, it was foul, laughed, and just afterwards the girls were bitten. I could hear the screams. It is as if that thing brought this about, some kind of foul, terrible luck. I do not know. But I will do everything I can. At least as long as you are along my side, you will not have to worry about any vipers or such. He drops his face again. He's being as stern as he can to keep his face in front of you. But tinges of various emotions do kind of seep through here and there, as there is deep guilt that begins to kind of play over his mouth and his eyes as he fights it off and tries to keep his face. I should have been there. If I had been with the girls, the viper would have done nothing.
Blame does nothing now, Tsuruchi. What should be done now is you properly introducing yourself to the head of the Kitsuki house. I am sure he is very eager to officially meet you and your family. But the children will be safe here if they wish to rest.
Hisoka bows again. Thank you again, Hibiki-sama.
Kitsuki looks around rapidly at the sound of the breaking.
You hear something like breaking towards the front entrance of your place, and you hear footsteps, like somebody like stumbling around.
Hisoka looks a bit concerned. Is someone there? He calls out.
Yeah, this man stumbles into the room, obviously intoxicated, and he said, "Has anybody seen my son? Has it? Oh, no, not again. This isn't my house." And he just passes out. Boom, hits the ground, and that's the end of the session.